November, I turned 40. And I tell you that statement of fact to see what your response is. Because for some of you, you're thinking, wow, is she old? And others of you are thinking, she's just a baby. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Because the way that you respond when I say, I just celebrated my 40th birthday, that's a filter that you look at the world through. That's a filter by which you're going to look at me and make decisions about me and place stereotypes on me without even knowing. To those 8 siblings of mine, I will always be a kid. It does not matter how many wrinkles show up on my face. It does not matter if I'm walking with a cane or living in an old age home. To them, I'm their 19 nieces and nephews. And to them, it does not matter what music I listen to, how cool I dress, if I take them to concerts, whatever I do, I'm always going to be old. I've been old to them since I was 20. It's the lens through which we look at the world. Now, this is a challenge since in our workplace we now have 4 different generations working side by side. It used to not be as big of an issue, A, because we didn't have the longevity of careers, which have just gotten a little longer with this economy. We had the stratification of the workforce that took place. When we were a very physical and industrious nation, this wasn't as big of an issue because the stronger you were, the closer you were to the front line. Look at someone and just think, oh my, they're 12. They're married and they have 2 kids, but in my brain they're 12. We're going to talk about these 4. Veterans, baby boomers, Generation X, and Generation 1942, give or take. Some sociologists will take that number out to 1946. Some take it back to 1940. Okay, so that varies a little bit. Sometimes you'll hear this generation referred to as the silent generation. Time magazine coined that term in November of 1951 as they looked at the generations, and I have a copy of the article with me tonight if you'd like to look at it after. It's very interesting to read an article from 1951 talking about kids today. They look at the world through those filters. It's often referred to as a lost generation in terms of the fact that it's probably one of the most misunderstood, least understood generations. Let's take a look at some of the people who are in it. As this generation sits watching from their classrooms. Privilege of traveling to China. I was traveling with somebody who was 10 years younger than I am. And as we stood in Tiananmen Square, and I looked out in awe, and my head going back and going, this is where it happened. This is where he stood. This is where the tanks rolled. I looked at her, and it hit me like a brick wall. As I said to her, you have no recollection of what happened here, do you? She said, no, I got nothing. We experienced the exact same thing at the exact same time, together. And we had 2 completely different experiences. They were different, based on the filters through which each of us looked at the world. Got a trophy, and it was really big, right? It's the size of a 5-year-old. Gen X kids were like, well, wait, when I have kids, I don't want them to feel left out. Because I was the last kid picked for soccer, and I hated that. So when I raise my Gen Y kids, I'm going to make sure they don't experience that. And so on track and field day, what happens? Everybody gets a ribbon! You came in 387th! Congratulations! And they show up at the workforce, and we wonder why they expect to get a promotion for showing up every day. In play. Some of this is also going to tie to their personality. And from a psychometric standpoint, like a Myers-Briggs or an emergenetics, or, do people prefer structure? Are they right-brained or left-brained? Those types of things are also going to factor in. Because if I have a lot of structure in my brain and you told me to go steps 1 through 5, that's where I'm stopping because that's what you told me to do, right? So that's going to play a role as well. So, but let's talk about Gen Y and how they look at the expectations of the next generation by how we raise them. Gen Xers said, I felt left out. I felt like I was not part of the group. I was the last kid picked for soccer. My kid will never feel like that. And so their kid never felt like that. And so now, everybody gets a ribbon for participating. Which also means I'm going to take care of you. I, the Generation X, came home alone. I had to make dinner. I had to take charge. I had to make everything happen. My kids aren't going to have to worry about that. I'm going to let them be kids. They're going to have a chore chart. I'm going to tell them exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And they get in the workforce and we go, what are you looking for? A chore chart.